I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, Velocities in Music, the best kept secret in music reviews. Tom, we review a lot of indie music on this channel.
That is true. Guilty as charged.
You know, I don't know if we really want to do that. We should try to branch out a bit. We'll kind of start that today with a request. You know, we've been doing a lot of requests this year. Today we're going to do a indie rock album. All right? We're just slow baby steps, guys. Baby steps. Band of Skulls, Himalayan. Band of Skulls is a bluesy rock trio from Britain. They are, I would put them in the same vein as like White Stripes, the Black Keys, you know, the Kills. Yeah. In that genre. Tom, Himalayan is their third record. What would you say the sound? You know, how did they go about making Himalayan? I mean, what's the overall general sound aesthetic here?
Well, it's interesting because I kind of want to initially say it's got kind of that retro blues rock sound, but anymore, it's done so much today that can you really call it retro anymore?
It's very
modernized. You know,
it's
very popular right now.
The White Stripes and the Black Keys came out. It's kind of been around for at least 10 years. Yeah. And so really it's just this modern blues rock sound that just keeps getting, is rehashed the right word? Is it just getting over and over again? And I definitely say that Himalayan does that. I mean, this album takes on a variety of different aesthetics within that subgenre.
Yeah, I would say so too. One thing I noticed is that they're willing to get a little bit even like sludgier with it.
Yes.
Almost closer to like what we'd hear from Kylesa at times.
Yeah,
still with a blues edge. Yeah. So it's a little bit heavier than I would say like the White Stripes ever get.
Yeah, you know, you made the comment to me when we started reviewing this set that there was at least a number of tracks on here that reminded you of the track Elephant from Tame Impala's latest release, Lonerism. So, you know, that album, you know, definitely struck a chord with us, but that was more in the neo-experimental psychedelia realm, not in the blues, you know, revival rock that this album definitely harbors. But, you know, I definitely think that there's a number of tracks on there that do have that big beat, brooding guitars in the verse where it's just this driving doom, 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 doom. Yeah, and then a big guitar-filled chorus.
Kind of arena sounding almost.
Yeah, another thing to note about Band of Skulls, and particularly on Himalayan, is that there's two vocalists here. There's a female vocalist who she kind of sounds like some of the girls they've gotten to do the Bond songs. And then there's you know, a male vocalist who kind of fits in with the Black Keys vocals. It just kind of fits that pattern, I'd say.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, and this is nothing, this is no sweeping generalization about female vocalists. I like female vocalists, but I didn't like the tracks that she did on this album. And it wasn't even her fault. It wasn't her singing. I like her voice. I just felt like those particular tracks weren't as well written. I felt like they distracted from the flow and the energy of the album.
Both in the songwriting and in the composition of the vocal parts themselves. They were just less catchy. I mean, one thing I noticed, like, all of these songs on Himalayan were meant to be catchy. They're not, they're like, there's nothing, so just, well, this is probably for our viewers who watch every review, you know where this leads, but Himalayan is not an album in the straight-through listening experience sense of the term album. You know, it's a collection of tracks, of this, you know, indie blues rock track. And none of these, you know, that kind of means when you have that independent structure on every track, it kind of means that each track needs to have its own catchiness, its own hooks, its own. It can't rely on the structure of the album to make certain tracks more catchy and memorable than others. Every track attempts to achieve the ability to be memorable, and I don't think that it always pays off.
No, it really doesn't here. I mean, there are clear highlights, but within those highlights, you almost have to break this down into subsets of what kinds of songs there are, because there are so many that have that kind of dun 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 dun, and I just
that's about half the song.
It really is.
Yeah, and the other half are, you know, just various attempts at other rock bands that have come out. For instance, track 5, Nightmares, is pretty much a late 90s U2 song. Yeah. It might as well be a U2 song. Now, these guys are from Britain, so it's, you know, it kind of makes sense that, you know, obviously they were, you know, retain some influence from that time period of music, so it makes sense, but it really comes off as at least to me anyways, it came off abrasive, because here you have this blues rock and then you get into this just, you know, 90s alternative rock song just right in the middle of the album. It just totally ruined the flow for me.
Yeah, and you know, there's also, I personally like the band best when they were just kind of letting loose and almost having more fun with it.
Jamming out, just rocking out.
Sometimes it felt like they were taking what they were doing so seriously that I couldn't take it seriously.
It was like they were. It felt like at times they were pushing their sound to try to make it like fit it into this pre-packaged, shiny wrapper box that's like the White Stripes and the kind of like the Black Keys last two albums that have been a bit more commercial. We criticize those albums for being a bit, just a bit too much in the box and not, trying to just rock out or be experimental or expand their craft. The thing about this genre is that it has been beat to death for the past 10 to 15 years. And it was really cool when bands started to come back and do this. And, a lot of critics praise these artists and it's like Band of Skulls is just trying to profit off of that and that momentum. And I can't get behind it because it's like, what are you doing? I'd rather listen to those originating or those like albums like Distill or some of the early Black Keys albums or the Kills. I'd rather listen to those bands rather than hear it regurgitated in the form of Himalayan.
Yeah, and I think that the moments where it succeeds is when they're not trying so hard to fall into that. And I'd like to pick two tracks as kind of good foils for each other in that nature. Track 3, Hoochie Coochie, and track 9, which is I Feel Like 10 Men, 9 Dead, and 1 Dying. What a mouthful of a track title anyway. But both of us picked Hoochie Coochie as a track pick, which, Hoochie Coochie. The song is called Hoochie Coochie. They're obviously not taking it that seriously. They're just having fun with it, and that song works because it's catchy.
Totally agree.
That's more in the vein of like Wolf Mother kind of blues rock.
I also think that the opening track, Asleep at the Wheel, does the very same thing. That guitar melody is just fantastic. I can't get it out of my head.
But then track 9, I Feel Like 10 Men, 9 Dead, and 1 Dying. It even just pisses me off to say the name of that song.
It sounds like a movie soundtrack.
Yeah, and it goes all over the place without warrant, without really making a cohesive statement. And I just feel like they were trying a little bit too hard on that track, and it came off that way to me. So it was a little bit off-putting. I didn't really get the epic grandeur that they were going for. Yeah, there were some cool guitar lines and stuff. But it rubbed me the wrong way. I wish that these guys would just not think about it so hard, rock out a bit more. I don't know. I just thought it was a little bit wishy-washy.
Now, one of the tracks that you actually picked was one of my least favorite tracks, Himalayan.
Is that the title track?
The title track, because it sounds, like the Raconteurs, which I was a fan of the Raconteurs back in the mid-2000s. I still, enjoy them, but not nearly as much now that I listen to it with a bit more critical of an ear.
Yeah.
But that song really just screamed this could be a dance song if you just replace the drums with just a club beat, your favorite club beat.
That's true.
I couldn't. It just something rubbed me the wrong way about that track.
Yeah.
Overall, this really isn't a cohesive listen. It's not really original, and those are the two things that I personally value most in any album that we review on this channel. I think that originality is absolutely key for me to like an album, and I also think that the album needs to flow as an album. This didn't do that for me. It was a compilation at best, and there are a number of tracks on here that I just didn't like, so it was really hard to put the whole thing together. The instrumentation was quite good, and they're
talented people.
The energy, that's totally enjoyable. So I think a lot of you guys are probably going to like this if you value other things besides originality and that straight through cohesive album listening experience. If you value instrumentation, if you value mood, and just that laid back kind of blues rock feel, this album might actually be one of your favorites of the year. So I'm going to go a little bit low on this, but I would totally understand if other people out there, including you, Tom, are way above me on this. I'm going to go 65.
I'm going to go 66.
Okay, so we're about at the same level, which means, mid-60s for us means that this album has flaws. We wouldn't recommend it to you guys unless you are really into this genre. So if you are, and you've checked out Himalayan, I know a couple of you guys have requested this, let us know your thoughts and rebuttal to our argument at www.velocitiesandmusic.com or youtube.com/velocitiesandmusic. As always, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and let us know what albums you'd like to see us review on this channel. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, moving music critique forward.